Joyful hello to all of you. My name is Minku Bhutar, founder of the Circle of Joy that brings you self-mastery programs and retreats. It gives me great joy to bring to you this season's talk show, a series of interviews on choosing joy, secrets, and stories from all over the world. It is my diligent attempt to show you that joy is not a hockey-pocky, frivolous concept, but a discipline, a way of life much needed if you want to be resilient, radiant, and unstoppable like a runaway train. So subscribe to my channel so that you can tap into the wisdom of people from all over the world. I will see you there.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the 35th episode of this talk show, Choosing Joy, Secrets and Stories from Around the World. My name is Vinku Bhutar, your host from India, and I am so grateful to each one of you who keeps coming back again and again to hear the episodes, to learn, to grow from all the wisdom of my guest speakers. Well, today, the topic is quite unconventional. I want you to be ready for it, exactly how I like it. And my guest speaker is befittingly a refreshing portion of, she's unapologetic truth pioneering a sensual revolution and radical transformation. She's teaching what has been lost, forgotten, or stolen. She helps you, and I promise you by the end of this episode, you will realize how she ignites your inner essence. She's going to open doors to heal trauma, rewrite the story, which is your story. And then, she comes out with this heady mix of sensual innocence and inner power. And according to her, and I couldn't agree with her more, that your spirit, igniting your spirit is really our true essence. She's also the author of a very successful self-discovery and sensual strand of healing books. She's done the Soul Codes, Remembering Your Mission. She's done Breaking Free, No More Soul Suffocation, Wildflower, Reclaiming a Sacred Place, and her bestseller book called Raw. So now let's cruise together on a journey that's going to remind you again of your free spirit. Please join me to welcome my special speaker today, Zoe Bell, all the way from Australia. Welcome, Zoe.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miniku. Thank you.
Going back in time, Zoe, I think we caught, if I'm not wrong, we caught each other's attention when we exchanged a few notes on Hugh Jackman, I think, and we had a laugh about it because your mentoring program is the future HuE-man Experience, and I can't remember exactly, but to the effect. And we connected, and we've stayed connected since. And I'm so glad now, today, we are here. Zoe, let me start by saying, and this comes from my heart, that you have such a fascinating profile, as does some of your feminine power reclaiming modalities. Especially what caught my eye was the yoni whispers, right? So it's fascinating to be able to hear what the yoni is saying to us. We do not have enough conversations with it. And I'm going to come back to that later in our conversation. But for now, Zoe, I would like to talk about your work, your amazing, amazing difference that you're making in the world. And you talk a lot about authentic AF. And I know it's an important human value, but Zoe, tell our audience a little bit about what special relevance does authenticity have for you, and what has your journey been so far?
Wow, so thank you. And yeah, from my heart, I will deliver in the best way that flows through. So for me, the authentic AF, because I know I'm not going to swear on here, is about really remembering, getting back to what we've forgotten. And when we were born and we came into the world, and you only have to look at children, and they naturally shine that radiance and that essence. And it's that connection to spirit, source, God, whichever description fits your beliefs or your structure. It all comes down to the same thing. And it's our inner shine. And through life, through conditioning, through experiences, through trauma, which are also there as part of our remembrance of why we're here, that authenticity is really about remembering that. And everything that you show up as, being so free in yourself that you no longer are fearful what other people think of you or how they're going to judge you, the courage to be disliked, the courage to express your truth of what that is in that moment, because we're constantly shifting and changing, and not fitting a societal mold of what you may have been conditioned through your well-meaning parents that are doing the best that they can. So it's like who you are, who are you behind closed doors when no one's watching? And then to remember, it's like dancing, like everyone's watching. So it's that real celebration of who you came here to be. And we all have a unique soul signature, a unique tone, a unique sound, a frequency and we all have one within inside us. So it's about really finding what that is for you, beyond the performance, beyond the pretending. And again, they're all parts of the process of remembering who you are, because we forget. And getting to that point where you can show up who you are without constantly changing the emotional masks or the masks of the persona that you feel you have to put on to meet other people's demands. And when you can do that, life becomes simpler, freer, and less exhausting.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Zoe, you so reminded me as you spoke so beautifully in captured authenticity. You took my mind to this one piece of art that I did. And it's a translation of a scene. It's like seeing life from a very dirty window pane, isn't it? Like you don't even know what exists out there till you start cleaning that mirror and the glass surface. So tell me, bringing you back, Zoe, how did that experience of feeling that authenticity was your most important value for all of us humans, how is it that tied to your journey? When did this realization come through for you?
I was a slow learner.
Okay.
And, you know, I understand why I was a slow learner, because we are conditioned by habits and behaviors. And I feel that every human has this deep longing and desire to want to be seen and wanting to be accepted. And going through this journey of, you know, I knew who I came here to be very, very young. And even my mum recently has said, where do you come from? And it's really beautiful to, and anyone that can relate to that.
Yes,
it's like, you chose this mission, and you were the guiding light in your family, even if maybe they don't see it yet. And this, I was a chameleon for a long, long time.
Oh, wow.
And I felt that this chameleon was a part of my trauma response. And I felt for many, many years, when I started writing my books, that this mask that I put on was a form of manipulation. And I started thinking that. And I guess in an aspect it was a pattern of survival to get my needs met, right?
Yes.
recently I've also discovered that gift, because being a chameleon is a gift, is actually part of my soul destiny.
Oh,
That my soul destiny, I actually don't have any free will. It is so aligned, which makes sense why I had so much karmic experience to get me back on track.
mm-hmm.
And part of that is to be the chameleon. So recently I've started embracing that, of softening in myself to meet others where they're at. And that was a huge pivotal point for me, right? Because then it's like this, I'm not fitting in, I'm not being seen, and not wanting, and then finding myself, and then, finding who I was. And then all of a sudden, I did a video on it today, even being weird everyone was weird now. And it was like, what? I had to grow into be. If you've been born weird, you're always going to be weird, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But then we had a society that was like, no, everyone's weird now, and it's like, and then you felt silenced again when you're really coming into your essence.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was
it's quite a journey. I
right?
think Go ahead.
It's
Go
like
ahead.
that constant, as we said earlier, it's like, oh, really? That's a little bit of my ego again. It's like, oh, and the pattern that used to play out was almost, but not quite.
Mm.
So there's right. So this constant refinement to letting go of who we think we are, of who we're programmed to be, to allowing who you were when you were 3 to come out.
That is so beautiful, Zoe.
Right?
And absolutely. I'm 100% with you on that. And sometimes in the work and the roles that we have aligned ourselves with as mentors, as light workers, sometimes I use that word a lot, and I know we're going to talk about light work later. But just to walk the talk and experience it, so that when you bring those experiences to others, you've gone through it, you've gone through the journey, you felt the pain, the trauma, and you're well on your path to heal. And I know that the foundation of your work, reading your profile, you're the founder of the future HuE-man Experience. I really like how you said HUE, right? That's how you spelled it. Am I right?
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, and you talk about creating your reality by following our heart's desires. So thank you for, capturing that so beautifully. So tell me, Zoe, from your experience and where you are in life today, how would you say can one even start this journey that allows our spirit to lead us to explore and be curious about the unknown? That would be fascinating if you throw some light on that.
Okay, very simply, with starting the journey, to really understand, for anyone to understand what the spiritual experience being, it's like saying we want to get over here, but there's this space here, and it's like, how do I get that? And each individual needs to start within the physical body. What is there? What is real? What's showing up in your life? Pain that you have. It may be part of your journey, your healing journey with disease or something in your body. It could be pain. We have to go into the physical. So part of my medicine and part of my work through my own journey has been, when the pain came up, that took me on the journey to not run away from it, because when I did run away from it, there was no support in society, which was like, oh, I only have one other place to go, into it, to understand it.
Right.
And in the pain, and even in the suffering and the very raw physical experience that an individual goes through, that is where we need to start. You can't understand the spirit, you can't release the emotions unless you go into the body right? That could be hands-on, or someone doing some adjustments. It could be a massage. It could be touch. It could be somatic work. It could be simply being on your yoga mat, and that moment where it's like, oh, it's a little bit uncomfortable, where the pattern is to go, oh, that's too much, I don't like it, and run, is invite you to stay and see what is there. As that is, and then this is this doorway that we push against, and many don't really understand this. And I think so many people get lost in, I want to feel spiritual, I want to have this, and it's like crazy. It's like you can't get there, and it's frustrating. So I really feel for people with that, and there is this getting lost in the clouds rather than let's start from the ground up. Let's start with the foundations. So put people into a posture and guide them into where they don't want to go safely. And then what that does, it then releases the emotions. So because we're going this ascension, moving upright, part of that, we can't stay in la la land up here. We need to go into the visceral, into the physical, because the physical body, which we'll go into when we talk about the yoni and stuff, all of the tissues in the body holds this story and the trauma. And what's so beautiful and powerful is when you can be guided how to release that without going into a no disrespect to psychologists, because everything has a place, that gets to a point though where you're done with sharing your story, and it's okay not to keep sharing your story. And when you stop sharing it, you actually start to release the emotions, and that's when the true healing starts to happen.
I love that. Absolutely love that, Zoe. I mean, it's bang on.
So it's like going into the darkness, right? So we talk about being light workers, and the medicine is not in the light. It's like we need to go into those
dark spaces.
Yes, those dark aspects, and they still come up. Today, my body was like, oh, something was going in my body. I spent like 90 minutes on my mat. I was exploring, what is it? So we're redefining having this intimate, very sensual conversation with your body. Is what do you need right now? And we have this society of go, 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 achieve, which brings in the feminine, right? The surrender. And most people are scared because they've never been guided there. Or I have all my shit together, excuse me. I have all my stuff together. I'm super successful. You want me to go there? I'm not doing that. I'm successful. But that is the medicine, and that is the spark that they want so desperately.
Zoe, it's not even, it's that resistance to the unknown. I think it's also a fear of what one might find in those dark spaces.
Yes.
And I think you need to be very courageous, and you have to reassume a blank canvas in front of you and be ready to whisk the color of pigments and brushes, so to speak, to start repainting and recalibrating your life. And, you know, you and I have talked about this earlier today, that till and until you're willing to do the work, you know, it's impossible to get there. And you also talk about a very nice line that I remember from your profile. You talked about accountability, assimilation within the assimilation of the illusion. Where were you going with that when you mentioned that? It's fascinating for me.
So for all the listeners and everyone that's listening, it's I invite you to simply explore this possibility that everything around you is an assimilation. So let's imagine that you're in a game, and there's many layers to the game, and it's not about going into the layers, but you will start to see life very differently. And until to truly change your reality, so your reality, what it is right now, to truly start to influence or impact the world around you, you need to have connected to that reality within. For example, you want more peace in the world. Well, to get there, you actually need to have come into a level of peace within yourself to actually have any power, influence, impact on your external world. So because we're in this assimilation that is wired to keep people stuck in fear, trauma, competition, scarcity, lack, it's like constant noise. You only have, social media, everything, like, am I doing good enough? What I created was this 90-day assimilation, accountability assimilation that is we are habitual by nature. We are task orientated by nature. We have most of us, if we're really honest, we have moments of laziness. We talked about this, procrastination. And the really big one is being the martyr and putting everyone else in front of you and forgetting about the most important being ever, which is you.
Absolutely.
So what the accountability portal does, it gives practices based on mind, body, spirit in a way that's not about, oh, here's the knowledge, because we have this knowledge overload and people's nervous systems can't cope with it. Their brains are full. They're like, I can't take any more in. What it does, it gives you little tasks that you have to go and do. And some of it means you have to go into the world, and you have to do it into the world to build your resilience, to strengthen your resourcefulness, to strengthen your nervous system adaptation, so you can start to break free of the assimilation, i.e. the matrix, right? Which you have created. When you start to play that game, then you start to being able to shift away from little me, I have no control of everything around me. The world is a scary place. I'm just going along A to B.
Yeah.
Hardly holding it together in a state of survival, into a place of possibility of, wow, I actually can have impact. I'm powerful, I'm purposeful, and it will show you where your weak links are. And for anyone that's highly successful, highly driven, you can't have someone else going to, here's your weak links. You actually need to see, oh, wow, I failed today. Oh, right? You actually have to see it in yourself when you're very driven, because anyone else challenging you on that, your ego is going to go, no, I'm super successful. So it's set up for the individual to fail so they can shift beyond the shame of failing or not being authentic and pretending that they have all of their stuff together. Does that make sense?
That completely. I love this approach where, you assimilating and becoming accountable for all that's happening around you. And it's like rewriting your story of your life, or going back and being the driver of your own vehicle. Talking about, you mentioned success and you talked about ego. We also discussed, and I would like to take up the aspect of this balancing that we women do of the masculine and the feminine energy. So I'm really going to bring our conversation back at this point to the fully embodied feminine virility, because I know that on one side you train women in, very sane modalities like your integrated breath work, which is common. I work with that a lot as well for the higher states of consciousness. But you also, Zoe, and that was fascinating for me, and I'm sure for our audience, you tread into a zone that's almost taboo and has erotic annotations in some cultures. It's scorned and even shamed in societies. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Kundalini activations that you work with, and tantric practices. You have worked with womb healing and the yoni whispers. That's so fascinating. And you said that it helps dissolve and rewire sexual traumas.
Mm-hmm.
So, Zoe, let's introspect that a little bit. When a woman is in full force and she's sensual, why do you think that we women are not moving at full throttle to embrace this feminism that is so powerful? I mean, what energetic shifts do you think need to happen, and why is polarity so screwed up? I really want to hear, because I know that's a major part of your work.
Okay.
That's a lot of questions.
Many,
I can break it down, and I'm all ears, and so is our audience. And I can bring you back if there's
Please stop me if I'm going off tangent.
No.
So,
you have so much to offer, and I'm all ears, all yours right now, Zoe.
I feel women in society have been demonized for their full sensual essence. They've been hidden away. They've been shamed. They've been manipulated. They've been misused. So there's that playing out. A woman is like a rose. She has thorns for a reason, right?
Love that.
And she cannot be forced to be opened. And you only have to look what has happened. There's been a lot of forcing of opening her. And it's like saying to someone, breathe. And they're like, tighten up, right? So let me bring it to this. So we've had that playing out in society of women that are in their full sensual essence. They've been shamed or they've been scorned, and we do have a competitiveness that happens in society with women. It's huge, of competing to who, and it's a primal thing, competing for who's going to get the most virile man that's very in his masculine. And this is a primal thing that's going on. So not only this, in society we have an attack on the primal energy with men as well. Let's just soften men so they lose their masculine raw. And then they become really feminine. And then women go, wow, and I'm attracted to him, right? Because he's really feminine. So we have that playing out as well. No matter if a woman is in a relationship or she's not in a relationship, the greatest relationship is about her learning to reconnect to what has been forgotten. And not only is she carrying her own trauma, she may also be carrying ancestral trauma of where she's felt fed off and all of that. And there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of, I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of feminists that have become penis-hating women. That is not the solution. It's not the solution. It's it's swung too far.
Yes, I agree.
I'm very much a believer of equality is an inside job when you look at the energies. So when you think of a woman being the rose and everything, there is a direct correlation between her throat and her yoni. Anyone that's tuning in doesn't know what the yoni is. The yoni is the sacredness of a woman that is the doorway into higher states of consciousness, is sacred. And it encompasses everything from her vulva to her clitoris to her vagina to all the external tissues within. Now, it's sacred for a reason. And we have in society, the feminine has been over-sexualized. You only have to look what's happened in the porn industry and stuff like that. So there's this mass confusion with what it is. So women have been used in this way. Men have thought that's what's real. It's not real. And there's very much amazing men out there as well. For a woman's arousal, so if you put someone into a state of fear, and they're very much in the masculine and action, action, action. They're very much in, when we look at the nervous system, they're very much in their sympathetic nervous system of go, go, go. So women tuning in that are very like, go, 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 achieve, achieve. I'm super powerful. I'm like getting this. That's the masculine energy. And this happens in men as well. And we need, it's a dance with the the parasympathetic. And this is where the trust comes in. The parasympathetic nervous system is the relaxation, the letting go, the surrender. And even surrender is so misunderstood. And surrender is the most powerful position for a woman, not as in surrender as I'm so small. It's surrendering into yourself to realize how powerful you actually hold the power. It's, you know, and men want to protect the feminine.
Yeah.
But so there's a big shift happening right now in society, and it's beautiful. I do feel we're getting back on track. Women are letting their guard down. Yes. Men are protecting the women that are really speaking up about this. And, you know, they're challenging what's playing out in the external world to try and kill all desire between men and women. Even in teenagers, we've got so many rules of, you know, I've got 2 teenage boys, and I'm like, please be spontaneous. If you feel a connection with a girl, like stop this. Is it okay for me to kiss you? If you feel that connection and it's reciprocated, what happened to passion?
Yes.
And this passion and this desire, which is our primal force, which brings back to our sacred shine, which is getting fed off. That's your innocence. So with women, it's not always about let's go in, let's work with the yoni. My journey was working with, and it was by experience of them me going, wow, when I did this form of meditation, my yoni started waking up and healing. A woman's arousal begins in her mind.
Absolutely.
Men, listen to that. A woman's arousal begins in her mind.
I love where this is going, Zoe. Yeah. This is just amazing. And you know, the other thing that's coming up for me as you speak so beautifully and openly, and I have forever, Zoe, thank you so much for talking about this so openly, because forever, this is how I feel sitting in India, in a very patriarchal society. I just feel there's fear. You know, I'm guilty. I might have told my daughter as well, you know, when she was younger, don't go out. In fact, I talked about this in my TEDx, that the conditioning that happens to a woman, it's not safe after dark. And so when women start climbing the ladder and afraid to embrace their masculine energy, I think this masculine energy is very, very attractive. I think men crave it and find it very sexy and attractive. It's usually a woman who feels threatened by another woman's feminine energy, if you know what I mean. And I think it's time to tune in, like you said beautifully, to the feminine energy. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to equalize and not come out always as the dominant, as the bossy and the independent woman. And it's okay to give an opinion, and no one's a bitch because she gave her opinion, right, Zoe? So what you're saying is embrace your femininity and equalize, have the equanimity, and that goes for men as well, right?
It's like, it's our creative essence. Yeah. So it's like, think of it. You want to go out there, same with men. You can't go out there and express your passion and your purpose. And this is what I see a lot of men are posturing and pretending and performing. They'll exhaust themselves. When you start tapping into the feminine, as you know, is this infinite source of creative flow. And once you tap into that, you can't switch it off. And it can feel dangerous to some people because because they feel drawn into it, and it's within each and every one of us. And it's sensual, it's healing, and it's an essence, and it is available to every human being. It's your human right.
Everyone, right?
Yes. And kids exemplify, without going into it, but I'll just plant the seed, hence why this misuse of that energy, the life force,
and what it stands for.
Right. And I really, part of my mission, I feel as well, that no matter what anyone has done, everyone has an opportunity to that path of redemption, forgiveness in self, right? We are learning, and we're growing in consciousness, is learning about itself in these many different forms, light, dark. And I feel that's when consciousness really shifts, which takes a lot of forgiveness, a lot of compassion, and it begins by doing it in ourselves.
That is so awesome. I think two things have emerged for me with our conversation today, Zoe. One is yoni is going to be the most looked into word on Google after this interview. Because yes, a lot of people do not understand that's the seat of creativity. And I think it's time for the innotation of how, sexuality and femininity has this very negative interpretation worldwide in a lot of cultures. And I think a lot of men, like you said, if we, in India, they always say, Zoe, that a man has this patriarchal role to play. And the new ads on Indian TV and cinema is about allowing a man to shed tears, even to embrace that femininity, where he doesn't always have to go through. So this is, I think, a message, a collective message going out to all our men audiences. Zoe, I think, you such a loving and high dimensional alchemy. You're such a nice, beautiful container for transformation, for transcendence, for transmutation. And you work with so many practices. And I know this is a conversation you and we can talk a whole day about various, because we connect on so many fronts. So before we go into the rapid fire round, I want to, two things. Could you share some centering practices that you think will help our audience, men and women, to restore and anchor in pure divinity to the source that we are? And secondly, would love for you to share where people can find to connect and work with this pure work that you're doing.
Okay. So for centering and grounding, really simple and effective exercises, at least every day. Get out once, get your shoes off, get your feet on the earth, and start to feel what's underneath you. Feel connected, even sitting your bottom onto the earth and your tailbone, the bottom of your tailbone, slightly drop it down and visualize that your tailbone is connecting to a star within the earth, knowing that you're always connected without getting lost up in, the clouds. We need to be grounded.
Yeah.
And remembering that's where you start from, is from the ground as a baby, and you will fall over and you will push back up and you will stand again. And I am safe, I am grounded, I am here. something very simple.
Just beautiful.
And there's from a beautiful Indian movie, actually, that I saw, which is a fantastic movie. I loved it.
Tell me.
Called The Three Idiots. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And they go, all is well.
Oh
All
my
is
God, I love
well.
this.
All
Yes.
is well.
And we do that a lot to each other in our social circles. And you know, sometimes an exaggerated accent for India is not all, and it's al is well, al is well.
All is well.
And
All
when
is
we
well.
say al al is well, that actually brings a smile on each other's lips, and it just kind of diffuses whatever that you feel you need to release. That's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. Again, you see, no matter what part of the universe, we're all connected with the same practices. We heal similar. Our blood is the same color, and we can use the same practices to anchor ourselves in the pure divinity and the pure light we are. Zoe, the other thing that's coming
Where
to
can
me,
you find me?
where can we find you? And also, um, the one thing I would like to already setting each other up for the next episode we do together, whenever that is, to talk about the Palladian light language. Oh my God, that's huge. How do
You
you?
want some now?
Yes, and today, unfortunately, we don't have enough time, but I would really like to talk about this in our next episode. How do we connect to the spirit? How do we connect to our source to heal and to receive spiritual guidance? That's huge.
Okay.
Yeah. So for now, Zoe, such a powerhouse that you are, where do people find you?
So you can have a look on my website. If you even Google me, Zoe-Anna, that's the best way to find me, Zoe-Anna.com. And then all the different courses I've got on ZoeAnnaBell.com. But yeah, you can find that through my first website.
Beautiful. And I'm going to make sure I mention that when we share you with our tribe on LinkedIn as well. So thank you so much, Zoe, for this powerful journey on leading us how to embrace the feminine divinity and not be afraid to do that. So let's get back on earth and get back to the rapid fire round. So I'm looking at quirky and spontaneous, brief answers, whatever comes to you spontaneously, because I feel together with authenticity that we started with, spontaneity is also the other thing that we need to integrate. So if you're ready, and with your permission, should we go into the first one?
Okay.
All right. Your idea of joy.
Yeah, dancing naked in the rain. No, dancing. Yeah, dancing.
I love this. Well, mine was to run in the nude on the beach. So now the whole zillion people know. Oh, I love this. Okay, the most defiant thing you have ever done.
Oh, birthing two beautiful, healthy boys. Powerful. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. One powerful sentence that a woman can use in her head to embrace her sexual energy when she feels resistance.
You're divine, you're beautiful, you're a goddess.
Oh.
And you are juicy.
I love that. I love that. That's going to be a mantra. And if you would just send it to me later as well, I would like to include that in a post. In fact, for me, I always say this every day. It is safe for me to say, no, I'm enough. And the only approval I need is my own. So Zoe, grounded with strong boundaries or trusting her intuition, which one is more powerful?
Both. To own your no, when you own your no, you know your F yes.
Wonderful.
which is your intuitive,
intuitive self. So the last one, Zoe, what's the voice in your head saying right now?
I feel gratitude and love and beautiful feminine connection, and my heart's been really longing for that. So yes, I feel very full and overflowing. Thank you.
Thank you for this connect and this sisterhood that will remain.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was it. How does it even feel?
Feels good. Yeah. No, thank you so much for having me on, and really opening up this space for such important conversations. I really, love and respect everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Zoe. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And thank you for allowing the whole world to know a few facts about me and you.
Naked in the rain. On the beach, naked in the rain.
Oh my God, seriously? Yeah. Well, that's going to be a new one for my husband. He's going to say like, what? Really? So
just
Zoe,
say, sit down, beautiful, sit down, darling.
Sit down with your beer and admire the sunset while I go and do what I need to do. Zoe, thank you so much for this powerful conversation, and join me to say bye to all of a beautiful, beautiful audience, global audience. And to you all, I say, love you so much. And I shall see you on 1st of April with some goofiness, because that is also the April's Fool Day. So from Zoe and me, bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We shall see you soon.